You chase and you chase, but you feel more empty. The world told you the answer is more, but this has only deepened your suffering. Why? Because the real prison isn't your bank account, it's your mind. The secret to freedom is not what you think, and the final piece of this puzzle is the one that will change everything. You must see this through to the end. Inner poverty. We must begin by clarifying our terms. When you say the word broke, what picture comes to mind? For most, it is an image of an empty wallet, a bank account at zero, a life of material struggle. This is the surface level understanding, the one that society teaches you and reinforces every single day. It is a definition that keeps you trapped in a cycle of want and despair. But this is not the true meaning of being broke. It is only a symptom, a reflection of a much deeper state of being. The true poverty, the one that causes the most profound suffering, is an inner poverty. It is a poverty of the spirit, a poverty of the mind. It is the persistent, gnawing feeling that you are not enough, that what you have is not enough, that who you are is not enough. This is the real state of being broke. You can have millions in the bank and still be utterly destitute in your inner world, constantly agitated, fearful of losing what you have, and desperate for the next thing you believe will finally make you feel whole. And you can have very little in your pocket, but possess an inner richness, a peace that cannot be bought. You see, the external world is a mirror. What you see outside of you is a direct reflection of what is happening inside of you. If your inner world is one of chaos, of grasping, of constant need, your external world will reflect that. You will make decisions from a place of fear and lack. You will chase opportunities not because they align with your purpose, but because you are desperate to fill that hole inside. This desperation is like a scent that repels the very abundance you seek. It clouds your judgment. It makes you impatient. It forces you to take shortcuts that lead to dead ends. The person who is truly rich inside acts from a place of fullness. Their decisions are calm, measured, and clear. They are not chasing, they are attracting. They are not grabbing, they are creating. So the first step is to shift your focus. Stop looking at your bank statement as the measure of your wealth. Look instead at the state of your mind. Are you at peace? Do you feel a sense of abundance with what you already have right now in this moment? Or is your mind a frantic, hungry ghost, always consuming, never satisfied? This is the most important diagnostic you can perform. The secret that has been kept from you is that your state of mind is the cause, and your financial situation is the effect. Society has it backwards. It tells you, get the money, and then you will be happy. Get the car, and then you will feel successful. Get the house, and then you will be at peace. But has it ever worked for anyone? You get the thing you desire, and for a fleeting moment, there is a sense of relief. But then, almost immediately, the mind latches onto the next thing. The goalpost moves. The hunger returns, often stronger than before. The inner poverty was never addressed. It was just momentarily distracted. The world profits from your inner poverty. An entire economic system is built upon making you feel incomplete. Advertisements are not selling you products. They are selling you a temporary escape from the feeling of being not enough. They create the wound and then sell you the bandage. And we willingly participate in this cycle, believing that the next purchase, the next promotion, the next win will be the one that finally cures us. But it is a lie. The cure is not external. It has never been. The secret is that true wealth is an internal state of being that you can cultivate right now with no money required. It is the wealth of a quiet mind. It is the richness of a present heart. It is the abundance of being free from the tyranny of constant wanting. This is where the real work begins. Unseen chains. So if this inner poverty is the root cause of our suffering and our feeling of being broke, we must then ask, where does it come from? What forges these chains that bind our spirit? The chains are not made of iron or steel. They are invisible. They are forged in the fires of our own minds, from the materials of our desires, our attachments, and our aversions. These are the unseen chains that hold you captive, and they are so familiar, so much a part of you, that you may not even recognize them as chains. You may even believe they are you. The first chain is desire. Not the simple wish for a meal when you are hungry, but the insatiable craving for things you do not need, the desire for validation from others, the desire for a status that is defined by external symbols. This desire is a fire that, if left untended, will burn down your entire inner house. It creates a constant state of agitation. The mind is always in the future, imagining how happy it will be when it gets something, and therefore it is never here, now, in the only moment that exists. This constant projection into the future is a form of self-imposed torture. You are living in a fantasy, and because reality never quite matches the fantasy, you are in a perpetual state of disappointment. This is a chain of your own making. The second chain is comparison. We live in an age of endless comparison. You open your phone, and you are immediately flooded with images of other people's lives, or at least the curated, polished version of their lives that they choose to show. You see their successes, their holidays, their perfect families, and your mind almost automatically begins to compare. Why don't I have that? What am I doing wrong? I am so far behind. Each comparison is another link in the chain. It reinforces the story of not enough. It drains your energy and distracts you from your own path. A tree does not compare itself to the tree next to it. It simply grows, reaching for the light, drawing nourishment from the soil in which it is planted. It fulfills its own nature. We cause ourselves immense suffering because we are constantly trying to be a different tree, planted in different soil. You must withdraw your energy from the lives of others and focus it entirely on your own growth. Your journey is yours alone. To compare it to another's is a profound disrespect to your own unique path. It is a chain that binds you to a race that has no finish line and no prize, only exhaustion. The third, and perhaps the strongest chain, is your story. Each of us has a story we tell ourselves about who we are. For many who feel broke, the story is, I am not good with money, or I always struggle, or people like me can't get ahead. This story, repeated silently to yourself thousands of times a day, becomes your reality. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your mind will actively filter reality to find evidence that supports this story. It will ignore opportunities that contradict the story and highlight failures that confirm it. This story becomes your identity. You become attached to it. In a strange way, it can even feel comfortable. It absolves you of responsibility. It's just the way I am, you might say. But this is the most insidious chain of all. It is a cage you have built for yourself, and you are holding the key. To become free, you must be willing to let go of your story. You must be willing to see it for what it is, not the truth, but a collection of thoughts that you have chosen to believe. The secret is that you are not your story. You are the awareness that is observing the story. And from that place of awareness, you can choose to write a new one. These chains, desire, comparison, and your story, are what keep you in a state of inner poverty. They were not placed on you by some external force. You forged them yourself. And this is actually good news, because if you forged them, you can also break them. Emptying cup. How then do we break these chains? How do we move from a state of inner poverty to one of inner wealth? The process is very simple in its description, but it is not easy in its practice. It requires diligence, patience, and a willingness to be with discomfort. The central practice is this. You must learn to empty your cup. Imagine your mind is a teacup. For your entire life, it has been filled to the brim with the murky tea of society's conditioning, your desires, your fears, your stories, and your anxieties. It is completely full. Now you wish to experience the clear, pure water of peace and abundance, but you cannot pour it in. There is no room. Any new insight, any new wisdom you try to add simply overflows and is lost. The first and most crucial step is to empty the cup. You must pour out the old murky tea before you can receive anything new. How is this done? It is not done through force. You cannot fight your thoughts or violently push them away. This only creates more agitation, more struggle. Fighting with your mind is like trying to flatten ripples in a pond by hitting them with a stick. You only create more ripples. The emptying is a process of gentle, non-judgmental observation. This is the practice of mindfulness, of meditation. You sit in stillness, you close your eyes, and you simply watch the contents of your mind. You watch the desires arise. The thought, I need more money, comes up. Instead of identifying with it, grabbing onto it, and following it down a rabbit hole of anxiety, you simply notice it. You see it as a thought, just a thought, a cloud passing through the vast sky of your awareness. You label it perhaps, wanting, and then you let it go. You return your attention to your breath. Then a feeling of envy arises as you remember a friend's success. Again, you do not resist it. You do not judge yourself for feeling it. You simply acknowledge its presence. You feel the heat of it in your body. You watch it as a curious scientist would watch a strange phenomenon, and you see that it too is impermanent. It arises, it stays for a moment, and if you do not feed it with more thought, it dissolves. This is the emptying of the cup. With each thought you observe without attachment, with each emotion you allow to pass without resistance, you are pouring out a little bit of the old murky tea. It is a slow process. At first it may feel like nothing is happening. The mind will be a storm of activity. This is normal. You have spent a lifetime allowing the mind to be the master. Now you are training it to be a servant. This takes time, but with consistent practice, moments of silence will begin to appear in between the thoughts. The space gets wider. The water in the pond begins to settle. In this growing stillness, you begin to experience your true nature, which is not the thoughts or the emotions, but the silent, peaceful awareness behind them. This is the beginning of true wealth. You start to realize that you don't need to acquire anything to be at peace. Peace is your fundamental state. Once the noise that obscures it is allowed to quiet down. You are not adding anything to yourself. You are removing the things that are not you. You are letting go of the chains of desire, the weight of comparison, the prison of your story. As the cup becomes emptier, it becomes capable of being filled with something new, clarity, purpose, and a profound sense of inner abundance that is not dependent on any external circumstance. This is the path to freedom. Mindful action, the final and most crucial insight, connects this inner work to your outer world. This is where the transformation becomes complete. The practice of emptying the cup is not about becoming passive. It is not about sitting in a room all day and renouncing the world. It is about changing the source from which you act. It is about engaging with the world, with your work, with your finances, but from a completely new state of being. This is the practice of mindful action. Once you have cultivated a degree of inner stillness, your actions are no longer driven by the frantic energy of lack and fear. They are no longer desperate attempts to fill an inner void. Instead, your actions begin to arise from a place of clarity, intuition, and purpose. You stop asking what can I get? And you start asking, what can I give? What is my unique way of serving the world? This shift in motivation is everything. When you act from a place of service, from a desire to contribute value, the energy is completely different. The work itself becomes meaningful. It is no longer just a means to an end, a paycheck, but an end in itself. It is an expression of your inner state of abundance. Think of an archer. The novice archer is completely focused on the target. His only thought is, I must hit the bullseye. His desire and his fear of missing make his hand tremble. His focus is on the outcome, and so his process is flawed. His action is born of anxiety. The master archer, however, is different. His focus is not on the target. His focus is on his stance, his breath, the feeling of the string, the perfect release of the arrow. He is completely absorbed in the process. His mind is calm and empty. Hitting the bullseye is not a goal to be achieved, but a natural consequence of a perfect, mindful process. This is how you must approach your work and your finances. Stop focusing on the target of getting rich. That is the novice's way. Instead, focus on your process. Focus on performing your work with complete presence, excellence, and a spirit of service. Be the master archer. Fall in love with the process of drawing the bow, not the glory of hitting the target. When you do this, you detach from the outcome. This detachment is not apathy. It is not that you don't care about the result. It is a profound trust that if your process is pure, the right results will follow. And paradoxically, this is when the best results often appear. When you are no longer desperate for money, you make wiser financial decisions. You are not tempted by get-rich-quick schemes. You can see opportunities with clarity because your vision is not clouded by fear or greed. You build relationships based on trust, not on what you can get from people. You create value from a place of genuine passion, and the world can feel that authenticity. The wealth that comes from this place is clean. It does not create more suffering for you or for others. It is a natural byproduct of a life lived with purpose and presence. This is the ultimate secret. You don't get rich to become free. You become free, and then you discover a form of richness that you could never have imagined. The secret was never hidden from you by some shadowy they. It was hidden inside you, obscured by the noise of your own untrained mind. The path is not to add more, but to let go. Let go of the desire, let go of the comparison, let go of the story. Empty your cup. Act from a place of stillness and service. The choice before you is simple. You can continue to live as a hungry ghost, forever chasing and never satisfied, defining your worth by the numbers in an account. Or you can choose to cultivate the unshakable wealth of a peaceful mind. The choice is not to become rich, but to become free. And that freedom is available to you right now in this very breath. I've spent 15 years climbing the corporate ladder, getting the promotions, the raises, the bonuses, and I've never felt more broke in my entire life. I thought the feeling of not enough was a motivator. After watching this, I realize it's been a poison. The idea that my inner poverty has been creating my reality is shattering in a good way. Time to stop chasing and start emptying my cup. Thank you for this. I feel like I can finally breathe.